Arsenal's upcoming games. So they've got Everton this weekend, their final trip to Goodison Park. Quite fitting that it's Mikel Arteta versus David Moyes for the final Goodison Park trip. And it's a ground that Arsenal did win at last season, but it's not been kind to them at all in recent years. I think they failed to win any of their previous five before that 1-0 last season. So, from the perspective of an Arsenal fan, will you be happy to see the back of that stadium?
As an Arsenal reporter, I'll be very happy to see the back of that stadium because that press box is an absolute nightmare. And if it, when he got his knees as bad as I have, being squeezed into the Goodison Park press box is not a fun experience. Believe me, it's the only ground I've ever, at one point, gone down at half time and covered the second half watching from the TV in the press room because I just couldn't handle my knees couldn't handle it. So I'm not looking. Yeah, I'm looking forward to going to their brand new stadium as a journalist. From a fan point of view, I love Goodison. I love the noise. I love the history. It's the same. It's one of the last remaining sort of great English grounds, so it's going to be a shame to see it go, obviously. But obviously, you've got to move with the times, haven't you? And I can understand why Everton are doing what they're doing. It's going to be a difficult game. Like I said, Arsenal's record at Goodison has been pretty miserable, aside from last year's win. Hopefully, last year's win can sort of put that bad run to one side, and we can now go out on a high and win it. It's going to be tough. They had a demanding game yesterday. Everton, tight game at Goodison. Had they taken their chances in the first half, then it could have gone their way, that derby, but it didn't. They end up losing it, which was their first defeat in a while, wasn't it? They're on a good unbeaten run before that. Moyes has got them going a little bit. So it'll be tough for Arsenal, no doubt about it. It's still a really important game. Obviously, the Real Madrid match is hovering over everything at the moment, but this is still an important game for Arsenal. Forest aren't slipping up. They're not slowing down. Arsenal need to stay ahead of them and keep that gap. So it's a game they need to win. It'll be interesting to see what Arteta does rotation wise ahead of Madrid. I'm sure you'll probably ask about that in a sec. So I'll wait on that, but it will be interesting what he's going to do for that game.
Certainly will be, yes. And of course, Arsenal had that horrible goalless draw at home to Everton back in, I think, December it was. And like you say, they were on that really good unbeaten run before the Derby defeat. I think it was their first loss in 10 games, 10 Premier League games under David Moyes. Um, we could talk about the Tarkovsky challenge for a long time, but we won't get into that. But
Awful, awful challenge.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. But Stonewall red card, even from an Arsenal fan point of view, Stonewall red card. But yeah, like I say, and yeah, Goodison's not been kind to Arsenal. Everton haven't always been kind to Arsenal in recent years, but they're like you say, we've talked about the attack maybe clicking. That catalyst was the Fulham game, perhaps. Does that make you more optimistic for this trip, or what do Arsenal need to do differently to ensure there's no repeat of that horrible draw in December?
Score first of all, score a goal would be nice. It's gonna be tough. Like Everton are a decent side now under Moyes. He's got them organised. They're tough to beat. They don't concede many goals now, which is what they've sort of built this unbeaten record on. So it's going to be tough for Arsenal, and it's going to be every game at Goodison now is a special occasion for Everton fans. The clock is very much ticking on that. I remember when it was the same at Highbury. That when you got to those last handful of games, it was just you wanted to make the most of every single second you had at that stadium, and it's the same for Everton fans now. So. Um, It'll be interesting what happens with Saka. Do you try and get a first start into his legs before Real Madrid? I doubt it. I think you probably go with half an hour again, maybe 35 minutes, and then start him in the first leg against Real Madrid. Um, so yeah, what they're going to have to do differently, just move the ball quicker against that in that home game. They just moved it very, very slowly. Everton just packed the defence, and Arsenal never looked like finding a way through. It was just a really drab, mundane performance. They can't do that again. They're going to have to move it quicker, try and pull Everton apart, and then take their chances when it comes, basically.